This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 1875. Are you a homebody? Know yourself when you accept or decline invitations in English. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, downloaded more than 200 million times. Are you feeling stuck with your English? We'll show you how to become fearless and fluent by focusing on connection, not perfection. With your American hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Michelle Kaplan, the New York radio girl, coming to you from Colorado and New York City, USA. To get real-time transcripts right on your phone and create your personalized vocabulary list, try the All Ears English app for iOS and Android. Start your 7-day free trial at allearsenglish.com/app.
When someone invites you out, but you are just not feeling it, what can you say to let them know more about your personality and your mood so that they will invite you again next time? Today, learn some key introvert vocabulary with Lindsay and Michelle.
Hey, Michelle, how's everything going in New York City?
Hey, everything is good. I'm looking outside and it looks like a very nice day. But you know what? Sometimes I just kind of like to stay in. Do you ever feel guilty when it's a nice day and you feel like staying in? Or does that never happen to you?
No, that does happen to me for sure. Sometimes when it rains, it doesn't rain much here in Colorado, but when it does, sometimes I have this relaxation.
Yeah.
Like I have no pressure to go out. No one wants to go out. I can stay home, curl up with a book or a TV show and feel okay. Snow does that to me too.
Right. It is that feeling of like, I don't have to feel guilty, like missing, because that's not always nice weather. Right. And when it is, then like you feel like, oh, I better go out. But if you don't feel like it, then you feel weird if you don't take advantage of a nice day. Are you a person? I know you're obviously like very active, like to be outside. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you do have those days where you just like to stay home too?
Yeah. Yeah. Even though for me, the ideal day is being out on a hike and then following up with a brewery and ice cream, hanging out with my dog, and then like going to bed early, having a good dinner with friends, going to bed early. That's my ideal day, mostly outdoors. But I do have those days that I love just being inside and not feeling that pressure. I know exactly what you're talking about, Michelle. It's the pressure. You got to be doing something. Maybe we see on social media, everyone's outside. That is kind of pressure in a way.
Right. It's funny. And also like I think especially, with the global health crisis and, people having to stay home more. Mm-hmm. And now I think, I don't know how things are going to be looking at this point in time, but I know now I'm feeling like, knock on wood.
You want to get out.
Getting a little better. Yeah. Like, now I feel like people are going to, when it's really safe, like just live it up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be a big summer in terms of, this is coming out in October. So I think I imagine it, people have really been enjoying. We got to tell our listeners what's going on. Guys, we're recording this episode quite a few months in advance. Okay. Yeah. To make sure we have awesome content for you all the time. And so we don't really know what's going to happen in the summer of 2022, do we, Michelle?
We don't. But I have this feeling right now of like, it's going to be, come on, I want to get out. People want to live life. So think, so I don't know if there's going to be too much staying home, but we are going to give you guys vocabulary today that is useful for talking about, like, if you're the type of person who really does like to spend time. I know they said sometimes like introverts or certain people like with the health crisis, almost felt like less pressure because then they, were staying home. They could, that kind of a thing.
I get that. I remember a sense of when the issue first broke, right, with the health issue around the world. I thought, oh my gosh, okay, there's a good side of this. This is terrible. It's awful. But there's a good side of this. I have certain projects that I've always been putting off because I wanted to go outside on the weekends. Now I can't. And then I decided I was going to learn X, Y, and Z. those things didn't exactly pan out in the way I wanted them to.
What does that mean to pan out?
Oh, that's a great bonus for today for our listeners.
Yeah.
Pan out this comes from panning for gold, right? And here in Colorado, there's actually a lot of gold mines that you can tour. It comes from panning for gold, the concept of it didn't work out. It didn't manifest. You tried it, but you didn't quite get that gold that you were looking for, that gold. Right?
Yes, exactly. So I think it didn't pan out.
I like that expression. That's a great one, actually. Michelle, before we go any deeper into this episode, I want to make sure our listeners know we have a fantastic quiz they could take to find their fluency score right away. So guys, go to allearsenglish.com/fluency score, take our 2-minute quiz, and you'll get your fluency level and you'll find out what to do with that score. Okay.
Absolutely. Awesome. Guys, that is a great place. I mean, I know that I remember taking language classes and then getting into the class and feeling like this isn't right. Like I'm not at the right level, and it's hard. It's hard to know your level. So guys, we will help you with that once you take our quiz.
Totally.
Awesome. All right. So Lindsay, let's get into some of this good vocab today. Lindsay, what's the first word? All
right. This is a great one. Homebody. So for an example, guys, I'm kind of a homebody, but I will come out for your birthday. Maybe just your birthday, not everyone else's.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a homebody is a person who likes to stay home. I mean, this is very common, this word.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people that are homebodies, they will proudly admit that they're homebodies, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's true. There is a sense of like, I'm accepting this, like this is who I am.
Exactly.
And that's what I like to do. That I do know some people who really are like homebodies and they're like very confident about it. Like there's no shame there. And I mean, there shouldn't, if you know what you like to do. So like, why not?
Do you think that as we get older, for example, in our 20s, I feel like it's less common to be a homebody? You know, not for everyone, but for me, I was like, I gotta travel the world. I gotta do everything. I gotta be in New York City. I gotta be out on the street. I gotta be at restaurants.
Yeah.
But as I went through my 30s and, I've chilled out a bit more, become a little bit more of a homebody. I still wouldn't say I'm a total homebody, maybe 50-50.
Well, I think, I agree with you. And this reminds me, we did an episode about FOMO and JOMO and, like being content and being like, no, I'm not like, I don't have to do everything.
Yeah, those were great episodes, guys. Go back. If you missed those, make sure you're following All Ears English and check those out. So homebody. What's the next one, Michelle?
Okay, so the next one is, this is an interesting one. Hermit.
Yeah, this is different, right? So this has more of a negative connotation to it, doesn't it?
I think so. I think a little bit more negative. So, I mean, what does this come from? A hermit?
That's a good question. I don't actually know exactly. Does it come from like legend?
I think of a hermit crab.
Oh yeah.
I guess I don't know that for sure.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure that it's like the idea of like being in your shell.
Yeah. And, there's 2 different ways to use this that I really want our listeners at their level to understand, right? Let's give this first example. I've become a bit of a hermit this winter because it's been so freezing out. And then, you're describing yourself as a hermit, but you're not like literally, you're not in all the time, right? You've just become that way. But I remember when I was a kid, oh my gosh, I lived on a street that was kind of rural and we would go out for Halloween and there was this dark house that was set away from the road. And we would ask my parents, what's going on with that house? Who lives there? And they said a hermit lives there, and they used it like literally a hermit lives there. And so we would like run past the house and we'd be scared,
Oh no.
as we were trick or treating. But I took it literally. But I guess it's just more as a descriptive word, right?
Yeah. That's how I think of it. But that's kind of funny. I mean,
it is kind of funny.
Yeah. So sometimes, we kind of just like close in. We like go into our shells. I mean, I think it's like often, in the bad weather, we kind of hibernate, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So generally today, we wouldn't really use it in the way that my parents used it, right? But we as kids, we took it so literally, thinking this guy never leaves his house, literally.
Did you ever find out what was actually in the house?
I think the guy was just living there. Like literally, there was a man living there by himself, as far as I know. But the things you get as a kid, you get like bits and pieces, and you filter it through your own weird way of viewing the world, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe they wanted us to stay away from him because they were like, they wanted to make sure we stay safe because they don't know him. I'm not sure, but
interesting. Yeah, you have to ask your parents about that. Revisit that
for sure. All right, Michelle, what else?
And then the next one is low key, right? And this can be different. It doesn't necessarily mean that you always like to stay home, right?
Yeah, low key is good. Because again, it's not so drastic as saying I'm a hermit, right? Or I'm becoming a hermit. You're more of an introvert. So you're not necessarily like, you don't mind talking to people, but you prefer that lower level of energy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going back to hermit.
Okay, go for it.
So it does say, the definition does say one that retires from society and lives in solitude, especially for religious reasons.
Oh, interesting. So yeah. So I guess maybe that's,
actually the true definition. Maybe it's not about hermit crab. Maybe it's that this is because I don't even necessarily see like my definition in there, but I know that it's used. It's a person who lives alone and apart from society. So I guess maybe that's like the literal thing. And then, I mean, because you hear people use this in more of the other way too, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, exactly. So maybe some people would self-describe as a hermit, right? Maybe someone like a Thoreau type, like a Henry David Thoreau, right?
Right.
Who, just in case our listeners aren't aware, like it's an author, a writer who just retired to the woods. We actually went and walked around Walden Pond and looked at his cabin.
Oh, I actually wanted to do that. How was that?
Yeah, it's really worth it. It's in Concord, Mass.
Right.
Close to Boston. It was cool. Yeah. And Walden Pond is a place where people go swimming all the time. It's, it's not like an isolated place. But yeah, his cabin, you can see the foundation. You could see, they have a bit of a remake of what it looked like, right?
Wow.
But it was very cool just being there. So that man just said, hey, I need to retire to the woods. I want to let go of everyday things and trappings of society and see what comes up. Right. Yeah, I think, I was actually, when I was in Boston this summer, somebody told me I should go there and I really wanted to, but it didn't work. It didn't pan out. Oh, it didn't pan out. Okay.
It didn't pan out. So, yeah. So interesting. So maybe it actually comes from more of that official, like the way that your parents were using it.
Yeah.
But I always thought it came from hermit crab.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of the same idea, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, whether this guy on the street where I grew up was a self-declared hermit or whether my parents were just using that term as more of an adjective, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. This is very interesting. Now we're really getting into this. Anyway, back to low key.
Okay.
So yeah, like I'm low key. I don't like to be out all the time. So definitely, it doesn't have to mean that you can be a low key person who likes to go out, but maybe you like certain like less stressful events, or maybe when it comes to like choosing a bar, you want a quieter thing, so that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. So low key. And then introvert is the last word. And again, this doesn't have to be the same as, we're not trying to say that if you're an introvert, you're a hermit, right? Not at all. Actually, like introverts can be famous performers and the most social people in the world. The question is just more scientifically, where does your energy come from? Does it come from being alone, or does it come from being around people? What would you say you are, Michelle?
Oh, I think I'm like a true mix. I don't know. I've always thought about this. Because obviously in my job, I'm an extrovert. Like I don't think that you could do, although what you said about entertainers, they can be introverts.
Sure.
I think mostly I like to be around people and I get energy from that. Like that makes me very happy. But I do still like need downtime. What about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I've gotten more introverted as I've gotten a little older, that I do need that time. And I don't mind being at home or being on my own. But I still feel great when I have a good, not when I have the same boring surface level conversation at a party, but when I have a good in-depth conversation about something interesting, that does give me energy. So I think I'm also right down the middle. I'm also 50-50.
Right.
Or you could say like you're an extroverted introvert. Maybe that's what I am, like an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert.
Yeah, I would say maybe like I'm like 70 extrovert, 70% extrovert.
Okay.
I don't know.
70,
but
30.
like my mom, there was a book about it. And like about, maybe it was called Introvert. I'm not sure, but my mom is, my mom like really describes herself as an introvert. But I wouldn't say that
quiet.
It's like
it Quiet? Was it called Quiet, the book?
Oh, yes.
Yes, that was a famous book that came out, guys. That was supposed to be really good. I just want to mention, Quiet, the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. So check that out, guys, if you want to read that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she describes herself as an introvert, but like, I mean, I guess so. But she always, I thought of, when I wrote this example, I thought of my mom. My mom would say this. I'm an introvert, so I like to settle in at home with a good book after social events.
Yeah.
So she talks about like, oh, she can be out for a certain amount of time and she's happy and she's having good conversations. But like after a certain amount of time, she just kind of like says that she just kind of feels this need to like be in bed with a book. Like that's.
Yeah, I get that. Right. That's why sometimes, entire weeks of traveling in groups can be overwhelming for people, right? Yeah. It's a big commitment, a big deal.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Let's do a role play.
All right, here we go. So here, I want you to go to a party with me. Okay. Yes. All right. So come on, Friday night. It'll be fun.
I don't know, Lindsay. I'm feeling low key today. Can't we just watch a movie and order food at my place?
No, this is going to be awesome. Come on. I know you're an introvert, but just try it.
I know, but you know me. I'm a bit of a hermit.
Stop being such a homebody. Okay. Yeah, good. Okay, so here we said kind of a typical conversation. Also, sometimes with partners, like one person might be a little more extroverted than the other. And I feel like it's good to have that balance. Would you say with Dan that Dan's more extroverted than you, or vice versa?
Good question. I think that's the thing is I actually think that we are mostly on the same level.
Interesting. Okay. So that's good too.
Yeah, but that is interesting because you would think like my dad is the extrovert of all extroverts. The king of the extroverts.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
My mom, sometimes she'll just say like, oh, she's just happy, that she can sit there and like let my dad like just take over the conversation when they're,
Yes,
sometimes.
Yes, I understand that feeling.
Yeah. So the king of the extroverts and my mom is kind of like the introverted, but I don't think of her as so introverted. But anyway, like she's not necessarily. Like she talks, I don't know. Well, whatever. This is not about my parents, but I would say I'm pretty evenly matched with Dan.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. It's always fun to kind of observe your partner in a different situation and see how you're both reacting to it. Like who's trying to start the conversation, who's feeling energized, who's losing energy. It's really interesting.
What about with you?
Well, yeah, I think, when it comes to like being in partnership, in a couple, I definitely need that. I need that balance for sure. So I'm somewhere in the middle of the road and my partner is probably more extroverted than me in most situations.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And the two of us, we don't really see each other in like these like social situations. Like we only talk to each other, we talk to each other on the show and, in meetings and things like that. So we don't see how, like, I wonder if we went to like a party together, if we would be like surprised.
Interesting. That's a good point.
Although we have been together on live events, but still that's different.
That's a little bit different. Live events. Yeah. If we were at just a social party, I wonder how you and I would navigate the room differently.
Anyway, let's go through this. So you want me to go to this party. And I said, I'm feeling low key today.
Low key today. Yeah. So that also could be like maybe slightly lower energy too at the same time. Right. True. Yeah. Just low key. The volume's just turned down for you.
Right.
All right. And then I said, no, this is going to be awesome. Come on. I know you're an introvert, right? I know you're an introvert. So, but just try it. Okay.
Right. And then I said, oh, you know me, I'm a bit of a hermit. So I like to stay home.
Exactly. And that's fine to say that. And then stop being such a homebody, right? So we've got all the vocab in here. Very straightforward. Right, Michelle?
Right. Exactly. So there's some differences between these, of course. but many similarities as well. But I think, the takeaway for this is, it's about knowing yourself.
Yes.
But at the same time, trying to be open-minded and like, okay, maybe hey, I'm an introvert, but I should go to this, or, but also keeping in mind that feeling of FOMO, JOMO, things that we talked about in that other episode, and being true to yourself is also important.
Yeah, we got to find that balance and know yourself and be able to describe yourself to someone that, have that conversation. So, if they invite you out and you're just not feeling it, don't just say no thanks, right? You need to explain, I'm feeling low key today. How about next weekend? That will maintain the connection a lot better to make sure they call you again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been a good one, Lindsay. So have a great day. And
all right.
I'll
You
talk to you
too.
soon.
All right, Michelle. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to All Ears English. Would you like to know your English level? Take our 2-minute quiz. Go to allearsenglish.com/fluency score. And if you believe in connection, not perfection, then hit subscribe now to make sure you don't miss anything. See you next time.